So, a lot of talking happens around anxiety. Sometimes it's very hard to get into the subjective experience, but we try. Sometimes we use scales. So, scales is a way so it's like a checklist. Da, 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 da. There's a list of things, and it's like a checklist, and then people go through them. And these help us really to monitor rather than diagnose. Sometimes they help us to get a conversation going. So, sometimes I use them to communicate with my patients if they don't want to talk a lot. So, just, make a check it, check. And then I go through it with them and see what was checked as, oh, this happens most of the time. And then we start a conversation with that. The second thing we look at what is in the background. Is there neurodiversity? That's really massively important. And we're going to talk specifically about neurodiversity. We're going to talk about ASD. We're going to talk about ADHD. We're going to talk about learning difficulties and learning disabilities. But when I say neurodiversity, that's what I mean. I mean that children who are developed differently, or people who are developed differently. And I mean ADHD, ASD, learning difficulties, and learning disabilities. So it's important to check which developmental family or which developmental group we're looking at. It's important to know if this child is developing in a typical way, so what considerations we need to take. It's important to know what is going on at home, what their temperament is. So temperament is what you are born with. And there's a lot of discussion about whether we're born anxious or we are born into anxious homes or anxious families.